Beneath the blazing sun of forgotten landscapes, massive stone walls rise in silence, monuments that outlasted kings' empires and even memory itself. They stand like riddles carved into the earth, daring us to uncover their meaning. Yet the enigma spreads far beyond a single land. In the frozen tundras of Siberia, strange megaliths lie scattered like pieces of a puzzle too vast to solve. Deep within the Amazon rainforest, crumbling cities sleep beneath a canopy of green, swallowed by nature's relentless embrace. And far across the ocean, mysterious carvings on remote islands gaze skyward, as though searching for answers among the stars. Wherever humanity has walked, it seems the earth remembers something we have forgotten. Why were these places built, and by whom? Were they temples, celestial markers, or something beyond our imagination? Every theory sparks fascination, yet none can silence the questions echoing in their stones. So, let us journey together. Place yourself in the shoes of a daring archaeologist at a dig site, a lone traveler following whispers through a hidden valley, or perhaps just a curious listener, eager to brush away the dust of history. And before we begin, stay connected. Follow this channel to uncover more of the world's greatest mysteries. Then share your moment, comment the time you're listening and where you are right now. Chupacabra, the goat drain. In the mid-1990s, reports emerged from Puerto Rico of a strange creature attacking livestock, leaving puncture wounds and draining the animal's blood. The creature was dubbed the Chupacabra, Spanish for goat sucker. Witnesses described it as reptilian with spines down its back and glowing eyes. Soon, similar stories spread across Latin America and into the southern United States. Biologists suggested coyotes with mange could account for sightings, but the legend took on a life of its own. Exsanguinated carcasses, UFO conspiracies, and tabloid headlines cemented the Chupacabra as a modern monster of the Americas. Your encounter begins when a rancher in rural Texas contacts you. "Something's killing my goats," he says. "No blood, just 2 holes on the neck. I got a carcass on ice. Wanna see?" Part curious, part skeptical, you drive to his ranch under a wide blue sky. Mesquite trees dot the landscape. The smell of sun-baked dirt and livestock permeates the air. The rancher is stoic, his hat shading his lined face. He leads you to a freezer and shows you the frozen remains of a young goat. 2 puncture wounds puncture its neck clean and precise. There is little blood in the tissue. He tells you that over the past month, 5 goats have turned up like this. Coyotes usually leave a mess. He's heard stories of chupacabras and wants answers. You examine the carcass. The punctures are about a centimeter apart, deeper than typical insect bites. You observe no signs of scavenging. You cut into the tissue. Indeed, there is less blood than expected. You arrange for a necropsy at a nearby veterinary lab. That night, you camp on the ranch. The air cools, crickets chirp. In the distance, cattle low softly. Around midnight, a commotion arises from the goat pen. You rush over with a flashlight. 1 goat is down. Its sides rise and fall weakly. As you approach, something odd occurs. A pale blue mist seems to exhale from the goat's nostrils and mouth, forming a thin veil above its body. The mist thickens, taking the vague shape of a serpentine creature before dissipating into the night air. The goat gives a final shudder and goes still. You are stunned. You smell a metallic tang mixed with ozone. The blue vapor was silent, luminous, and unlike any breath you have seen. The next morning you examine the goat and find 2 new puncture wounds. The carcass again lacks blood. You report the phenomenon to the vet. He speculates the blue mist could be chilled vapor from the goat's warm breath, condensing in cool air tinted by your flashlight. But the night was warm. He suggests bioluminescent bacteria or phosphine gas from decomposition, though the animal had just been attacked. The necropsy reveals that the goats did not bleed out, but suffered acute shock. The wounds penetrate to the jugular vein, but cauterization around the holes prevented bleeding. Coyotes do not cauterize. The vet notes that vampire bats in Mexico make small incisions and lap up blood, but they do not exist here. The rancher shares stories he's heard of hairless, grayish creatures seen dragging goats of government experiments gone wrong of aliens collecting DNA. Theories multiply. Some attribute chupacabra reports to wild canids with mange, whose emaciated appearance and erratic behavior make them seem otherworldly. These animals may bite livestock, and illness may lead to atypical feeding patterns. Others point to puncture wounds caused by prairie dogs or other scavengers after death. However, the absence of blood perplexes veterinarians. Some suggest a rare blood-sucking parasite could be involved. UFO enthusiasts tie the phenomenon to extraterrestrial cattle mutilations, claiming advanced tools leave cauterized wounds. A more mystical explanation holds that the chupacabra is a spirit or demon that manifests as blue mist draining life force. Skeptics argue your mind immersed in chupacabra lore interpreted a natural vapor as a creature, but you can still picture the blue shape hovering above the goat. Weeks later, DNA analysis of a purported chupacabra carcass found near the ranch reveals it to be a coyote with severe mange. Its skin was hairless gray and stretched tight, and its teeth were elongated due to gum recession, giving a vampiric appearance. The vet leans toward this explanation, though it does not fully account for the bloodless goats. The rancher decides to install cameras. One night, they capture footage of a canid-like creature slipping through the fence, biting a goat, and lapping up blood. The bites are small but deep. The animal appears hairless with a gaunt frame. Its eyes reflect blue in the infrared light. It might be a diseased coyote or something else. The blue mist is never captured on video. You keep the rancher's case file in your office, along with a vial of strangely odorless blood. Sometimes you think you see a faint blue vapor when you open the vial. Whether the chupacabra is a misidentified coyote, a vampiric bat, or a mythical beast, your night on the ranch has made the legend feel uncomfortably real. Lady Lovibond, ghost ship, love, jealousy, and a phantom brig. According to English maritime lore, the Lady Lovibond was a three-masted schooner that wrecked on the treacherous Goodwin Sands off the coast of Kent on February 13th, 1748. The vessel was supposedly on its way to Portugal to celebrate the honeymoon of its captain, Simon Peckett, and his bride Annetta. The story goes that the first mate, John Rivers, was secretly in love with Annetta. Consumed by jealousy, he steered the ship onto the sands, killing everyone aboard. Legend has it that every 50 years thereafter, on the anniversary of the wreck, the phantom ship appears as a portent. Sightings were reported in 1798, 1848, and 1898 by lighthouse keepers and sailors, each describing a glowing vessel sailing into the Goodwin Sands before vanishing. While historians find no record of a ship named Lady Lovibond in Lloyd's Register, the tale endures, blending tragedy and superstition. You become part of this haunting tradition when a genealogist traces your lineage to a crew member's family and invites you to join a 250th anniversary vigil on a headland overlooking the Goodwin Sands. Our ancestor was the ship's cook, she writes. Perhaps we should honor him. Curiosity and a desire to connect with maritime history compel you to fly to England. On a windy February night, you gather with a small group of historians, local fishermen, and descendants of those said to be aboard. The sky is clear, and the crescent moon casts a silvery path across the dark sea. The air tastes of salt and cold iron. Someone has brought a bouquet of white roses, a nod to the bride. At exactly 9 p.m., the time the legend says, the ship struck the sands, everyone falls silent. The only sounds are waves breaking on the distant shoals and the faint clanging of a boom. Minutes stretch. Your eyes scan the horizon. Then a faint glow appears far out at sea just above the waterline. It grows brighter, taking on the shape of a ship with tall masts. The outline is luminescent as if made of moonlight. You can make out sails billowing, though there is no wind. The glowing ship moves steadily toward the location of the Goodwin Sands. Beside you, someone gasps. You smell something unexpected, a faint fragrance of roses mixed with sea spray. The glow intensifies and you can see what looks like figures on deck. Then, as quickly as it appeared, the phantom vessel plunges into the darkness where the shoals lie. There is no crash, no splash, just a dimming of light as if a candle was snuffed. Within seconds, the horizon is again empty. The wind picks up, carrying with it the scent of roses one last time. The group murmurs, some crossing themselves, others shaking their heads. You realize your hands are clenched. When you unclench them, sea salt has dried on your palms. Back at your hotel, you process what you saw. Did you witness an atmospheric phenomenon? Mirages such as Fata Morgana can create the illusion of floating ships due to temperature inversions over the sea. Under certain conditions, lights from real vessels over the horizon can be refracted and appear as ghostly images. The Goodwin Sands are known for such optical tricks. The scent of roses could have been brought by someone's perfume carried on a gust blending with the salt air. A voice in the group speculates that a modern ship's lights passing behind the curvature created the illusion of a glowing brig. However, your memory of the ship's shape and the figures on deck feels vivid. There were no other ships on the maritime tracking app you checked beforehand. You read accounts of earlier sightings in 1798. The captain of the ship Edenbridge reportedly tried to assist the glowing vessel only for it to vanish. In 1948, an RAF captain claimed he saw a ship of lights near the sands. Skeptics note these reports often occur around the anniversary and are primed by expectation. Theories about the Lady Lovibond legend include romantic invention. Some believe the story originated as a cautionary tale about jealousy and recklessness at sea. Others suggest that the phantom ship is a conflation of multiple wrecks on the Goodwin Sands, a notoriously deadly area that has claimed hundreds of vessels. Maritime historians note that Goodwin Sands is a graveyard. Ghost stories abound. Atmospheric scientists attribute sightings to superior mirages and reflections of distant city lights. Psychologists point out the power of group expectation and suggestion in shaping perception. When a group gathers anticipating a ghostly appearance, people may interpret ambiguous stimuli as the expected apparition. And yet, standing on that headland, you and others saw a form luminous and detailed. Perhaps the story persists not because of verifiable evidence, but because human hearts find resonance in tragedies of love and loss. The scent of roses might have been real or imagined, but its association with a bride lost at sea makes it potent. In the weeks after you receive a handwritten note from the genealogist, "Thank you for coming. Did you smell the roses too?" The note includes a pressed white rose petal. Some nights when the wind in your city carries the scent of rain, you think you see a glow on the horizon where there is none. In your dreams, a luminous ship approaches silently, and on its deck stands a woman in a white gown holding roses. She smiles sadly and tosses a bouquet into the sea. You wake feeling the sting of salt in your eyes. The Lady Lovibond's story may be a legend, but for those who gather every 50 years, the phantom ship sails on, and the sea holds the memory of love, betrayal, and a fleeting light on dark water. S. by Chimo, the wandering ghost ship of the Arctic. The SS Bagremo was a steel cargo steamer built in 1914 and operated created by the Hudson's Bay Company to trade pelts with Inuit communities along Canada's Arctic coast. In October 1931, trapped by pack ice near Alaska, the crew abandoned her, expecting her to sink. She did not. Instead, the Baichimo broke free and drifted. Over the next decades, she was sighted numerous times by whalers, pilots, and Inuit hunters, sometimes hundreds of miles from her last location. People boarded her to salvage goods only to be chased away by worsening weather. Last seen in 1969, she earned the title of Ghost Ship of the Arctic. The Baichimo's ultimate fate remains unknown. She may rest on the ocean floor or still drift beneath the ice. You get a chance to step aboard this legend when a trapper contacts you with coordinates of a drifting vessel caught in newly formed ice near the Beaufort Sea. Looks like the old ship he radios. You charter a helicopter and fly over a white, silent expanse. Below a dark hull lies trapped in ice. You land nearby the rotor wash, kicking up powder snow. The air is bitterly cold. Your breath crystallizes. The ship's hull bears the faded letters BAYCHIMO. You climb a rope ladder. The deck is coated in rime. The wood creaks underfoot. The cabin doors hang open. Inside, the air is stale. In the galley, rusted tins sit on shelves. A deck of cards lies scattered. As you move, one door slowly swings shut behind you, then another. It's as if the ship is breathing, drawing the doors closed. A shadow flits across a porthole, perhaps your own, perhaps not. For a moment you feel as though someone is watching. An unidentifiable odor, old tobacco and animal fat lingers. The temperature feels colder in certain rooms, warmer in others. You take photographs, then a loud crack sounds from the ice below. You hurry to the ladder and leave. Minutes later, the ship groans, breaking free. By the time you are airborne, the Baichimo is adrift again, moving slowly north. Back home, you review your footage. The closing doors coincide with gusts of wind. In sub-zero temperatures, wood contracts and moves. The shadow could have been from ice crystals on the helicopter reflecting sunlight. The odor likely comes from decades of sealing oils and stored furs. The creaking is normal for aging ships adjusting to temperature changes. Yet, being aboard a vessel abandoned for nearly a century feels eerie. You read that after 1931, Inuit hunters occasionally sheltered on the Baichimo salvaging planks. In 1962, a group boarded her to find her cargo holds empty, but structure intact. The ship's drift patterns have been modeled, suggesting she may still roam beneath sea ice. Some think she eventually sank during a storm. Others dream of finding her preserved in ice. The doors slamming and the sense of being watched can be chalked up to nerves and environmental factors, but ghost stories persist. Theories about the Baichimo's endurance center on her robust steel hull and the forgiving Arctic conditions. Trapped in pack ice, she drifted like a trapped log. Occasionally freed by storms, she traveled hundreds of miles. The Hudson's Bay Company considered salvaging her, but deemed it too risky. Ghost ship enthusiasts propose that she sank near the Chukchi Sea. The sense of presence felt aboard abandoned vessels is common. The interplay of silence echoes, and memory makes them feel inhabited. The closing doors you experienced may have been a combination of wind gusts and temperature-induced movement. Still, the idea that a ship could wander the Arctic for decades, resisting sinking, captures the imagination. The Baichimo symbolizes perseverance and the unpredictability of nature. Weeks later, you dream of a dark hull moving through ice, silent and empty doors, swinging of their own accord. In the dream, you hear voices speaking in Inuktitut and Swedish, as if former crew and hunters are still aboard. You wake hands cold. The Baichimo's mystery remains unresolved. Your brief boarding added a chapter. Whether she now lies on the seabed or continues to drift, the ghost ship will haunt Arctic lore. The memory of doors closing behind you and the shadow at the porthole remind you that even abandoned places can feel alive. The bloop. Whispers from the deep. In the summer of '97, an ultra-low frequency sound was detected by hydrophone arrays in the South Pacific. The sound, nicknamed the bloop, rose in frequency over a minute and was powerful enough to be picked up 5,000 kilometers away. Its spectral signature resembled that of a living creature, yet it was far louder than any known marine animal. Some speculated that it originated from an iceberg calving or fracturing. Others proposed that it was the cry of a colossal undiscovered sea creature. NOAA eventually attributed it to ice quakes, but the myth of a massive marine organism lurking in the deep persisted, fueled by imaginations and Lovecraftian lore. Your encounter with the bloop began in a windowless room at a research institute. You were analyzing historical hydrophone data for patterns in whale migrations when your supervisor handed you a DAT tape labeled 97 anomalies. "Listen to these," he said. "Tell me what you think." You threaded the tape into an aging deck and donned studio headphones. The room was quiet except for the soft whir of the machine. A waveform appeared on your monitor as the tape rolled. It started with oceanic ambient noise, distant rumbles, the occasional whale call, then a low rumble emerged, rising and amplifying in a way you had not heard before. The sound began as a deep groan and climbed rapidly, like an enormous bubble ascending through water. Your speakers vibrated gently. The tone rose in frequency and then faded into the background noise. You replayed it, adjusting filters. At higher speeds, it sounded almost like a living voice slowed down. As you leaned closer, your desk trembled lightly. A ceramic mug shivered and inched toward the edge. The fluorescent light above flickered twice. You paused the tape. Silence returned. You rewound and played it again. The same vibrations occurred in perfect synchrony with the sound. A colleague popped his head in to ask if there had been an earthquake. "Just listening to a whale song," you joked, nervously, heart pounding. Intrigued and unnerved, you analyzed the signal's frequency components. It matched the 97 bloop. You cross-referenced the timing with seismological data. There were no earthquakes that day. You tested the speaker magnets and found nothing unusual. Later, on a whim, you slowed the audio to 1/4 speed. The rising tone elongated into a mournful howl that made your skin prickle. For a split second, layered under the sound, you heard what could only be described as a murmured phrase in an unrecognizable language. You froze, then rewound. On playback, the phrase did not reappear. You repeated the process several times to no avail. That night, as you lay in bed, you felt a subtle rocking, as if you were at sea. In the distance, a low rumble pulsed like a heartbeat. Researching further, you discovered that NOAA had concluded the bloop was likely the sound of icebergs cracking and sliding on the ocean floor. You read about cryoseisms and thermally induced fracturing in polar ice. Yet, you also encountered papers noting that the frequency signature of the bloop resembled biological sounds. On internet forums, people speculated about ancient Leviathan-like creatures, deep-sea worms the size of skyscrapers, or even government experiments. A 2005 article in an obscure journal proposed that resonant cavities under the ocean could amplify small sounds into large signals. You also found an anecdote from a sailor in the 1970s who described hearing a deep underwater roar followed by his compass spinning. The boundary between ice and imagination seemed porous. One plausible explanation is that the speaker vibrations you felt were sympathetic resonances produced by the specific frequency of the bloop aligning with structural components in the room. The flickering light could have been a coincidence, or the vibration could have momentarily loosened a bulb. The murmur you thought you heard may have been the result of auditory pareidolia, your brain imposing patterns on noise. Another theory suggests that such ultra-low frequency sounds can affect the human body, producing sensations of unease and disorientation. If the bloop was a massive ice shelf slumping into the ocean, the energy involved could indeed have been felt by sensitive equipment even at a distance. A more fantastic idea posits an undiscovered marine megafauna capable of producing sounds on that scale. While Noah's icequake explanation satisfies many, the bloop retains an aura of mystery, partly because of experiences like yours. Weeks later, you occasionally hear a faint low rise in noise floors while listening to completely unrelated recordings, train whistles, air conditioners, even your own heartbeat. Each time your muscles tense, waiting for the desk to tremble, friends send you links to new underwater anomalies. You listen with curiosity and caution. The DAT tape sits in your desk drawer, rewound to the beginning, a physical artifact of a sound that briefly made objects in a room vibrate, and your imagination stretch down into the deep. Whether the bloop's origin is glacial or biological, it continues to evoke the unfathomable vastness of the ocean and the possibility that not all of its voices have been cataloged. The Karnak Stones, avenues of silence, stretching across the countryside near the town of Karnak in Brittany, France, stand thousands of upright stones aligned in long rows. Some weigh several tons and stand over 3 meters tall. Others are barely knee-high. Erected during the Neolithic period around 5000 to 3000 BCE, the Karnak alignment's purpose remains a subject of debate. Theories range from astronomical calendars marking solstices to processional pathways or territorial markers. Over centuries, myths have grown. Some locals say the stones are a Roman legion turned to stone by a saint. Others speak of them as petrified warriors waiting to rise. Despite extensive study, their true meaning is still unknown. You came to Karnak on a cold spring morning while backpacking through western France. A chance meeting at a hostel led to an invitation from a local archaeologist who was studying micro-erosion patterns on the stones. He offered you a ride to the fields before they opened to tourists in exchange for help carrying equipment. You agreed, curious to see the stones without crowds. The mist hung low over hedgerows as you walked among damp grass and wildflowers toward the first alignment. The stones emerged from the fog like silhouettes of stoic figures keeping watch. The air smelled of wet soil and sea salt carried from the nearby coast. Birds sang hesitant morning songs. You trailed your hand across the lichen-covered surface of a menhir, its granite cool and rough. Your companion set up a laser scanner to measure minute weathering. As you waited, you wandered down a row of stones. A curious stillness settled around you, your footsteps muffled. The wind died. The distant hum of a road faded. Ahead, the stones marched into the mist, their heights gradually decreasing. Suddenly, a low humming began, seemingly emanating from the ground beneath you. The frequency was just at the edge of perception, more felt than heard. The hair on your arms rose. You looked around. Your friend was adjusting his equipment, oblivious. The hum intensified, pulsing like a heartbeat. The stones seemed to lean ever so slightly inward, as if turning to face you. Then the sound stopped. The wind resumed, and the world felt normal again. You told the archaeologist what you felt. He smiled and said some people experience infrasound in places like Karnak, possibly due to the way wind moves through the alignments or resonance with bedrock. Later, in a small museum, you read about theories suggesting the stones could act as a giant musical instrument channeling sound along their rows. A 1960s researcher wrote about certain alignments producing a humming noise when struck with a mallet. A Breton folktale spoke of the stones singing on midwinter's night. Skeptical archaeologists dismiss these stories as fanciful, focusing instead on solar alignments and social functions. Yet, the hum you felt lingered in your bones. Possible explanations for the sensation include exposure to low-frequency wind vibrations. When wind passes over and between objects of similar spacing standing, waves can form, producing barely audible hums. Some researchers think certain frequencies can cause feelings of unease or awe. Another possibility is that the stones amplify distant industrial noises that normally go unnoticed, focusing them through resonant gaps. A more esoteric idea suggests that Karnak was designed to create sensory experiences with precessions, timed to coincide with seasonal winds that would make the stones speak. Folklorists might argue that stories of petrified soldiers imbue the site with the sense of latent life, priming visitors to perceive subtle sounds as meaningful. Whether natural or designed, the phenomenon creates an intimate connection between stone, wind, and human perception. Since your visit, whenever you stand in long corridors between trees and parking garages, even in supermarket aisles, you sometimes pause and listen for a hum. The memory of mist and rows of granite shapes stays with you. The Karnak stones continue to weather under Breton skies, their alignment secrets still debated by scholars and storytellers. Each time a breeze sweeps through a line of pylons or across a field of sunflowers, you wonder whether some ancient builders understood the way tongue and stone could intertwine, and whether those who walked those rows thousands of years ago felt a hum under their feet connecting them to the earth and sky. The Lothagam North Pillar Site. You have always been fascinated by the way landscapes carry stories. When the curator of a small museum in Nairobi reached out asking if you would travel north to record ambient sounds at an ancient burial site for an immersive exhibit, you immediately agreed. This would not be your usual cityscape field recording, but a pilgrimage into the Turkana Basin, where millennia ago, pastoral communities gathered and erected towering basalt pillars. That email was the spark of your adventure and the anchor for the narrative you now recall. You arrive after days of dusty travel at a place the locals call Lothagam. In the early morning light, the silhouettes of standing stones rise from the desert floor like sentinels, and you clutch your microphone, the tool that will translate this silence into sound. Your assignment seems simple: capture the songs of wind and wildlife. But as the wind brushes past the basalt and a faint humming vibrates through your recording equipment, you sense that something unspoken awaits. Lothagam North is a monumental platform built some 5,000 years ago by pastoralists who herded cattle and goats on the shores of a vast lake that has since retreated into a ribbon of turquoise. The site consists of a large mound with a central plaza flanked by radiating rings of basalt pillars buried deep into the ground, their tops protruding like the stumps of giant teeth. Beyond the structures, scrub brush scratches the dry earth, and the horizon shimmers under the relentless African sun. Researchers believe that the ancestors buried here were the elders and honored members of a nomadic community that gathered seasonally to commune and bury their dead with ornate jewelry and ostrich shell beads. Yet there is no script, no songs recorded to tell us what ceremonies took place on this platform, or why they invested so much labor into building something that would be visited only sporadically. You set up your microphones and begin your sound walk around the circumference of the pillar field. As you trace the alignment of stones, you notice that the pillars cast long shadows that converge in the central plaza. You catch yourself whispering into the mic, as if to keep from disturbing those shadows. When you sit down on a low slab to listen, you hear more than wind and insects. There is a low rhythmic vibration, like the pulse of a distant drum. At first you dismiss it as the wind catching the basalt ridges, but then your equipment picks up frequencies below the range of human hearing, shimmering on the monitor like the lines of an electrocardiogram. You adjust the gain and realize that the hum is not constant, but increases whenever you stand in the exact center of the plaza. This discovery unsettles you, for there are no machines for miles, no electrical lines, nothing but ancient stones and open sky. The unnatural event arrives without warning. As you lean over the central depression, where dozens of ancestors were interred, a gust of wind whirls around you, spinning dust and acacia leaves into a tight column that rises between the pillars. Your microphone cables lift and slap against your arms, charged with a static you can feel on your skin. You hear a low-frequency rumbling, not through your ears, but through your body, a sound that seems to emanate from beneath your feet and resonate in your bones. For a moment, the edges of the basalt pillars appear to shimmer, and you smell faintly the musky odor of cattle and smoke, as if a long-past ceremony has suddenly overlapped with the present. Your hair stands on end, and when you glance at your digital recorder, the time code jumps forward 7 seconds, skipping over a piece of your recording, as if time itself hiccuped. The dust devil dissipates as quickly as it formed, leaving the site calm again, but you are left trembling, clutching your equipment and staring at the stones that now look less like lifeless monuments and more like conductors of some ancient energy. You retreat to the shade of your Land Cruiser to review the audio. Through headphones, the hum is even more pronounced, rising and falling, in a pattern that repeats every 20 seconds. When you overlay the sound waves onto a site map, you realize that the peaks correspond to specific pillar alignments. It occurs to you that these stones may have been placed not just for the living to remember the dead, but to harness or channel wind and vibration. The static shock you felt could indicate that these basalt pillars accumulate electrical charge in the arid environment, releasing it when conditions align. Could the pastoralists have noticed such phenomena and incorporated them into rituals, perceiving the site as a place where the earth itself spoke? You recall reading about archaeoacoustics, the study of how ancient structures were built to produce sound or harness natural resonances. Perhaps the central plaza acted like a drum, amplifying footsteps, chanting or thunderclaps into a heartbeat-like rhythm. You also consider the spiritual dimension. Many pastoral communities see whirlwinds as the passage of spirits, and you cannot shake the memory of that column of dust spiraling out of the grave pit. The smell of smoke and cattle felt like memory intruding on the present, a bridging of times that defies rational explanation. One theory you entertain is that the hum emanates from subterranean chambers where seasonal groundwater or shifting sediments create vibrations that travel through the pillars. Engineers might classify your experience as a seiche, a standing wave in a closed basin that oscillates with the wind. If the ancient builders observed periodic low droning from the earth, perhaps they believed the ancestors communicated through those sounds. Another possibility is that electromagnetic phenomena are at play. Basalt contains iron-rich minerals, and over thousands of years, the pillars could have become magnetized, responding to solar storms or lightning in ways we are only starting to measure. A more speculative idea is that the site served as a gathering point for communities to synchronize their sense of time with natural cycles. The hum you recorded pulsing every 20 seconds might correspond to the rate at which cattle hearts beat or the frequency of chanting. Your colleagues later note that some of the burial goods appear to have been placed according to cardinal directions, so perhaps the site also aligned with celestial events. On the more mystical side, some elders from the nearby village speak of the stones as dwelling places of the rain spirits. They say that if you listen closely, the ancestors still converse in the wind, swirling around the pillars. Your experience with the humming could, from this perspective, be an invitation to listen rather than simply record. eventually hand your recordings to the museum curator, who will weave them into an exhibit designed to immerse visitors in the sights and sounds of the Turkana Basin. You decide not to edit out the section where the hum crescendos and the time code leaps ahead. The curator smiles and tells you it will provoke conversation. Driving south toward Nairobi, you glance back in the rearview mirror and see the pillars silhouetted against a crimson sunset. You know that you have captured only a fragment of the mysteries the Lothagam North Pillar site holds. The vibrations you felt continue to reverberate inside you, an ancient rhythm that refuses to resolve. Perhaps someday, another visitor standing in that same plaza with different tools and questions will feel the same static on their skin and smell smoke on the wind. Until then, the pillars stand silent and humming their secrets preserved in stone and shadow. The Rock Lake Pyramids. You are an experienced scuba diver with a penchant for exploring freshwater shipwrecks when a local historian contacts you about a legend in Wisconsin. He speaks of pyramidal structures submerged in Rock Lake near the town of Lake Mills, rumored for a century to be remnants of an ancient civilization. The water is murky and the lake bottom is cluttered with boat debris and weeds, making it difficult for researchers to confirm anything. Your task is to pilot a new remotely operated vehicle, ROV, equipped with sonar to map anomalies thought to be stone structures. You accept the challenge, not expecting to feel as if you have entered a time capsule under the waves. On a calm summer morning, you launch the ROV from a small pontoon boat and watch its camera feed as it descends into greenish water. The sonar pings reveal the contour of the lake floor, largely flat with occasional boulders. As the vehicle moves toward a suspected site, the sonar image begins to outline a rectangular mound rising about 3 meters above the bottom. You adjust the lights, and through the murk, you glimpse straight edges that look like stone blocks covered in silt and algae. Excitement builds. Perhaps the stories of pyramids have some basis after all. Rock Lake, formed by retreating glaciers, lies in a region rich in Native American earthworks. Nearby Aztalan State Park preserves remains of a Mississippian-era settlement with earthen pyramids and stockades. Early settlers reported hearing tales from indigenous people about structures in the lake built by the Aztec or Tequesta. In the 1930s, scuba divers claimed to have seen pyramidal mounds with sloping sides and flat tops. Attempts to photograph them were foiled by poor visibility and silt. Some researchers think the structures could be natural glacial deposits, while others believe they might be stone fish traps or the remains of a drowned ceremonial site. Controversy persists because of limited direct evidence. As the ROV hovers over the mound, you guide it slowly along one side. The camera shows elongated stones arranged in layers like courses of masonry, though covered in algae. You run your gloved hand over the screen reflexively, wishing you could feel the texture yourself. You capture stills and note the orientation. The structure's base aligns roughly north-south. You also spot small round holes in some stones, perhaps the result of erosion or tool marks hard to tell through the lens. As you explore further, you find another smaller mound with sloping sides just 20 meters away. While scanning its top, your sonar detects a cavity within the mound, a hollow space possibly accessible by a narrow opening now clogged with sediment. The possibility of a chamber inside a stone mound underwater sends a thrill through you and the historian on board. Just as you position the ROV to peer into the cavity, the lake water around the craft begins to swirl. Your monitor shakes slightly as the feed blurs with fine sediment stirred from the bottom. You think at first it is the propeller wash, but then you notice the silt is rising from the structure itself, as if something within is exhaling. The water temperature gauge on the ROV dips abruptly, indicating a pocket of colder water emerging from the mound. A low-frequency vibration hums through the tether line, audible even on deck as a faint buzzing. Through the murk, a soft glow emanates from within the cavity, golden like candlelight pulsing. Your heart races. The historian grips your shoulder, eyes wide on the screen. The ROV camera flickers and the depth gauge resets to 0, as if the instrument lost its sense of where it is. You quickly retract the ROV, worried about equipment failure, and as you pull it upward, the glow fades and the humming ceases. The lake returns to quiet, the water once again cold and opaque. Back at shore, you and the historian replay the recording. The faint glow is visible in several frames. The temperature drop and depth gauge glitch correspond with the humming. You speculate about possible causes. One idea is that decaying organic matter trapped within the mound could release methane. When disturbed, gas bubbles rise and create currents that might produce vibrations and eddy currents, stirring up sediment and scattering light in the camera. If the gas is bioluminescent or contains phosphorescent bacteria, it could explain the glow. Your colleague suggests the cold water could have been a spring discharging from beneath the glacial till, and the sound might be the water rushing through narrow channels. Alternatively, the sudden equipment failure might indicate electromagnetic interference from minerals like magnetite in the stones. Underwater magnetism can affect sensors. Some local lore speaks of the mounds as tombs of a lost people. Perhaps the glowing is part of that story, a ritual believed to protect the structures. Or perhaps the mounds are natural, but have acquired layers of myth that predispose us to perceive anomalies as supernatural. Archaeologists propose that Rock Lake structures, if artificial, may relate to the Mississippian culture at Aztalan. Rising waters could have submerged ceremonial platforms or fish traps built from stone. Geologists argue that glacial action can deposit rocks in patterns that resemble walls. Freeze-thaw cycles then shape edges. Some fringe theorists imagine that refugees from Atlantis built pyramids here, citing the near-perfect alignment and underwater glow as evidence of ancient power sources. Skeptics point out that the lake bottom is littered with modern debris, and that divers' observations are often colored by expectation. However, your recordings of the mound and the cavity add new data, clearly defined edges, possible interior voids, and unusual temperature and light anomalies. Whether these phenomena are geological, biological, or something else remains unclear. Your own hypothesis balances caution and curiosity. The structures may be natural formations modified by humans centuries ago, and the cold, glowing exhalation you witnessed could be a natural spring filtered through layers of sediment and myth. You share your findings with the State Historical Society and suggest a more comprehensive survey using ground-penetrating radar from the ice in winter, when water clarity might improve. Funding is scarce, but interest grows after you give a presentation at the local library. Some attendees approach you afterwards with tales passed down from grandparents who swore they saw lights dancing on the lake on calm nights. You realize your experience with the glowing mound is now part of that oral tradition. Whenever you think back to that day on Rock Lake, you picture golden light emanating from under green water, humming like a distant drum. The pyramids, if that is what they are, remain hidden beneath silt and legend. You hope that future research will uncover their true nature, but a part of you is content with the mystery. In an age of technology, there is something profound about peering into murky depths and glimpsing an unanswered question. USS Cyclops. You are a marine historian and descendant of one of the sailors who vanished aboard the USS Cyclops, a massive U.S. Navy collier that disappeared in 1918 with all 306 people on board. The ship was last heard from while sailing from Barbados to Baltimore through the area often dubbed the Bermuda Triangle. No wreckage or distress signal was ever found. A century later, you joined an expedition funded by a historical foundation to search for the Cyclops using modern fuels your drive to solve this family mystery. The expedition vessel sets out from Puerto Rico, equipped with side-scope sonar and autonomous underwater vehicles. You study the Cyclops' last known position and plan search grids. Your hope is to locate any metal debris field that can match the ship's dimensions. You also bring a small box containing your great-grandfather's letters, which mention his last days on board. As you read his final letter, you feel his presence as you prepare to search the deep. The USS Cyclops was a Proteus-class collier built to transport coal for the Navy. It disappeared without a trace during World War I. Speculation about its fate includes structural failure, enemy attack, mutiny, and storms. Its disappearance contributed to the lore of the Bermuda Triangle, an area in the western Atlantic where ships and planes have reportedly vanished. Recent analyses suggest that unusual currents, methane hydrate eruptions, and rogue waves might play roles in such disappearances. After days of scanning, your sonar shows a large elongated object at a depth of 1,000 meters. The shape matches the length of the Cyclops, almost 170 meters, and sits upright on the seafloor. You deploy a remotely operated vehicle ROV with cameras. As the ROV descends, its lights illuminate a rusted steel hull with portholes and a collapsed superstructure. You see open cargo hatches and twisted beams. On the stern, faint letters are visible CYC. Your breath catches. You may have found the Cyclops. Then your comms crackle. A series of Morse code beeps plays through the speaker dot-dash patterns you recognize from your great-grandfather's letters in which he taught his children code. The pattern spells out SOS. You look at your colleagues. None are sending it. The code repeats twice, then stops. Moments after the SOS, the ROV's cameras flicker and the feed goes static. You switch to backup monitors, but the signal remains disrupted. The ROV's depth gauge reads 1 to 050 meters, 50 meters deeper than the wreck. It appears to be moving downward despite no input. Your team attempts to regain control, but the thrusters do not respond. The tension in the control room rises. You fear the ROV might be lost. After a minute, the ROV stops descending and stabilizes. The cameras flicker back on, showing murky water, and then briefly a face-like shape, 2 dark circles, and a line resembling eyes and a nose, perhaps a trick of light on sediment. The feed clears and the ROV's thrusters respond again. You guide it back toward the wreck, careful not to lose it. That evening, you review the Morse code signal. You wonder if equipment noise coincidentally formed the pattern. Your communications technician suggests interference from the ROV tether's electrical signals could produce beeps. However, the timing with the wreck discovery and the letters visible on the stern add poignancy. Could the code have been echoes from the past, perhaps recorded by the wreck's metal and released when disturbed? Physicists have documented how iron structures can emit magnetic signals when stressed. Maybe these translated into audible beeps through your audio system. The face-like shape on the video could be pareidolia, our tendency to see faces where none exist. The ROV's brief descent might be due to a downward current or a spool slip in the winch. Your rational mind leans toward technical explanations, but your heart hears your ancestor tapping out a call across time. You remember his letter describing storms and mechanical issues, but nothing about fear. Perhaps he was brave to the end. Historians propose that the Cyclops may have been overloaded with manganese, or causing structural stress. It had a cracked cylinder and a broken starboard engine before departure. A storm or rogue wave could have overwhelmed it, or the cargo could have shifted, capsizing the ship. German U-boats were active, but no records indicate an attack. Some researchers consider a Bermuda Triangle vortex, though oceanographers explain that dangerous currents in the area can affect ships. Your discovery of the wreck suggests a catastrophic sinking, but analysis of hull damage will be required to determine cause. The Morse code signal remains a curiosity. Electrical interference, mechanical noise, or psychological projection could explain it. More mystical interpretations imagine residual energy like a tape loop, replaying the crew's final call. While unproven, such ideas highlight our human need to connect with lost stories. You provide coordinates of the wreck to naval authorities and historians. A formal survey is planned to document and protect the site. You place a small memorial plaque in the sea above the wreck, inscribed with the names of the lost, including your great-grandfather. You whisper thanks and goodbye. Back on shore, you share the story of the SOS beeps with your family. Some tear up, others smile. You feel closure even if the exact cause of the sinking remains unknown. The Cyclops sleeps in the deep, but your expedition has illuminated part of its story. Every now and then, when you sit by the ocean and hear the rhythmic tapping of halyards, you think of Morse code and messages that travel across time and water. The mystery may never fully yield, but it has brought you closer to your past. Voynich Manuscript. As a cryptographer, you have always been fascinated by ciphers and uncracked codes. The Voynich Manuscript, a 15th century book filled with unknown script and bizarre illustrations of plants, astrological diagrams, and nude figures, has baffled scholars for decades. An antiquarian library invites you to examine the original, hoping that modern computational methods might yield clues. You relish the opportunity to see the enigmatic pages firsthand. The manuscript, bound in vellum, sits in a climate-controlled glass case. You don gloves and gently turn the pages, marveling at the intricate script written left to right in flowing characters that resemble no known alphabet. The illustrations add to the mystery: strange plants not identifiable as any species, women bathing in green pools connected by pipes, and cosmological charts with unknown constellations. You photograph the pages using multispectral imaging, then retire to an office to run pattern analyses. Your goal is to determine whether the text has linguistic structure or is a hoax. The Voynich Manuscript surfaced publicly in 1912 when Wilfred Voynich, a Polish bookseller, purchased it from a Jesuit college in Italy. Radiocarbon dating places the vellum in the early 1400s. Some hypothesize it is a pharmacopoeia, alchemical treatise, or coded heretical text. Attempts to decode the script using frequency analysis yield conflicting results. Some suggest it resembles natural language, others gibberish. In 2018, AI analysis proposed a Hebrew cipher, but this remains contested. The manuscript's authorship and purpose remain unknown. Using your photos, you run algorithms comparing character frequencies and word patterns to various languages. The results show Zipf-ian distribution, suggesting a natural language rather than random strings. You notice that certain words recur near specific illustrations, implying labels. You tag these and compare them across sections. Late at night, as you stare at the scrolling text on your monitor, you feel a wave of dizziness. The characters seem to shimmer and rearrange themselves, forming Latin letters that spell phrases like erba vitae and astrologia segrete. You blink and the shimmering stops. The Voynich characters return. You chalk it up to eye strain. You take a break and walk among the stacks, but when you return, your computer screen displays a message in the Voynich script that was not there before. The message consists of 3 lines of text accompanied by an illustration of a plant not in the manuscript. You capture the screen, unsure whether this is a glitch or something else. As you attempt to recover the normal display, the library lights flicker. The temperature drops noticeably, and you hear a faint whisper like pages turning, though no one else is present. You feel a presence behind you and turn quickly, but the room is empty. The whispering continues, forming sibilant patterns that seem almost language-like. You record audio, hoping to analyze it later. After a minute, the lights stabilize, the whispers cease, and your computer screen returns to normal. You save the anomalous screenshot and audio file. Your heart is racing, but your curiosity outweighs your fear. You analyze the screenshot. The new Voynich text does not match any other passage. The plant drawn resembles a species of blue lotus used in ancient rituals. The audio spectrogram reveals frequencies in the range of human speech, but the patterns do not correspond to any known language.
Your colleagues suggest the screen glitch could be due to software artifacts when running AI models. The flickering lights may have been caused by the building's aging electrical system. The whispers might be an illusion produced by air vents and your own heightened state. You consider that your intense focus on the manuscript may have primed you to perceive patterns and meaning everywhere. On the other hand, you cannot shake the feeling that the manuscript responded to your scrutiny, offering a hint and testing your resolve. It is as if the book wants to be understood, but only by those willing to listen on multiple levels. Linguistic analysis suggests that the Voynich manuscript script has structure and could encode a real language, perhaps an invented one, like a cipher of Latin or Romance languages. Chemical tests on the ink show it is consistent with 15th century materials. Some researchers propose it is an early constructed language used for secrecy. Others think it is a hoax with pseudo-words. Artificial intelligence has attempted to map characters to Hebrew Nahuatl and other languages with mixed success. More fringe theories claim the book was written by aliens or channeled from supernatural sources, citing the strange illustrations and your experience of the text appearing to change. Psychologists note that pattern recognition can lead to apophenia, seeing connections where none exist, especially when working long hours. Your own theory oscillates. You believe the manuscript likely encodes a natural language with an unknown cipher, and that your visual and auditory experiences were influenced by fatigue, environmental factors, and subconscious expectations. Still, you allow for the idea that engaging deeply with a mystery can evoke creative interactions between observer and object. You publish a paper presenting your statistical analyses and propose that the text shows features of an inflected language with affixes. You include the anomalous screenshot in an appendix, labeling it as an unexplained software artifact. Readers write to you with their own theories. Your nights are filled with dreams of unknown plants and looping script. You continue to work with interdisciplinary teams, combining computational linguistics with historical context. The Voynich manuscript remains unsolved, resisting decryption, yet inspiring endless inquiry. Your brief encounter with whispering pages and shifting text becomes part of its lore. Perhaps one day a key will unlock its secrets. Perhaps its purpose was always to evoke wonder rather than convey information. For now you accept that some codes invite not resolution, but engagement, turning cryptographers into characters in their own puzzles. Who was Pharaoh Smenkhkare? You are an art historian specializing in Egyptian royal iconography. When you receive an invitation to assist at an exhibition on the Amarna period, the curator wants you to analyze a set of relief fragments depicting a pharaoh whose identity remains elusive, Smenkhkare. Some scholars argue that Smenkhkare was Akhenaten's co-regent and successor. Others think the name may refer to Nefertiti acting as king. Your job is to compare artistic features and inscriptions to other known figures. As you examine the artifacts, you begin to see patterns that challenge traditional narratives. The reliefs show a slim figure with delicate features, wearing the double crown of Upper and Lower Egypt. The cartouches read, Ankh Keperure, Smenkhkare, Jeser Keperu, but the face resembles depictions of Nefertiti more than Akhenaten. One fragment depicts the figure with an arm raised, offering to the Aten sun disk.
Another shows them with a smaller figure, perhaps Meritaten. These images fuel theories that Smenkhkare could be Nefertiti or even another royal like Tutankhamun in his early reign. You photograph the fragments and note stylistic details, elongated neck, almond eyes, full lips. The Amarna period, during which Akhenaten established a monotheistic worship of the Aten, saw radical artistic changes. After Akhenaten's death, the throne passed to a figure named Smenkhkare for a brief time, according to some records. Evidence for this reign is scarce. A few inscriptions, a coffin lid reused by Tutankhamun, and these reliefs. Historians debate whether Smenkhkare was male or female, a separate person or a throne name used by Nefertiti or Meritaten. The uncertainty reflects the political chaos of the era. As you examine a particular fragment under raking light, you notice faint traces of an earlier inscription beneath the visible one. Using infrared imaging, you reveal hieroglyphs that spell Anket Keperure Nefer Neferuaten, a name associated with Nefertiti as pharaoh. It appears that the original inscription was chiseled away and replaced with Smenkhkare's cartouche. This suggests a succession of throne names carved over the same relief. You also notice that the arm carving has slightly different proportions from the head, indicating possible recarving. As you document this, the gallery lights flicker. For a brief moment, the face on the relief seems to smile. You blink, and it is back to normal. You wonder if the interplay of light and shadow played tricks, but the effect is uncanny. That evening, after the museum closes, you stay to finish your notes. You are alone among the Amarna artifacts. As you measure the reliefs, you hear a faint rustling, like linen sliding over stone. You glance up. The room is still. You resume your work, but the sound returns, followed by a whisper. Perhaps your name, Anket Keperure. Your heart pounds. You set down your calipers and speak softly, addressing whatever might be present. Who are you? You ask, half expecting silence. You hear a soft exhalation and then nothing. The air grows cooler, though the climate control remains constant. You finish your measurements quickly and leave the gallery feeling watched. At home, you replay the incident in your mind. The smile you perceived and the whisper could be cognitive biases, your brain seeking significance in random stimuli after hours of focus. Lighting flickers can create pareidolia, air vents can whisper. However, the underlying inscription you discovered is real evidence that the relief was altered. It supports the theory that multiple people used the same throne names, fueling confusion about Smenkhkare's identity. Your experience with the whisper Anket Keperure highlights the potency of names. Ancient Egyptians believed names had power and survival in the afterlife depended on their remembrance. By speaking or hearing a name, one could connect with the person. Your mind, primed by this knowledge, may have produced the whisper. Scholars propose several identities for Smenkhkare. He could have been Akhenaten's younger brother, serving as co-regent. Alternatively, Nefertiti might have adopted the name to rule after Akhenaten's death. Evidence includes feminine endings on some cartouches. Another candidate is Meritaten, Akhenaten's daughter, who may have briefly ruled. Tutankhamun's early throne name, Nebkheperure, complicates matters as similar-sounding names could be conflated. Political motivations may have prompted later rulers to erase or overwrite certain names. The recarving you observed aligns with this. More fringe theories suggest Smenkhkare was a ceremonial title rather than a person. Your encounter with the whisper could be interpreted by spiritualists as a message from the past, but you interpret it as a psychological response. You publish a paper discussing the relief's overwritten inscriptions and propose that Smenkhkare was likely Nefertiti or Meritaten using different names during a turbulent succession. Your findings contribute to the academic debate, though not all agree. You mention the flicker and whisper, as anecdotal context, noting how the study of enigmatic artifacts can evoke strong sensations.
Whenever you return to the gallery, you feel a subtle connection to the figures you study, those whose identities blur across centuries. The question, who was Smenkhkare, remains partly unanswered, inviting continued research. As you walk among ancient reliefs, you sometimes whisper the names yourself. Ankh Keperure, Smenkhkare, Nefer Neferuaten Meritaten. Perhaps by doing so, you honor their memory and keep their stories alive even as the past resists full clarity.